Okay, so the next thing I want to do is time series graphs. So these are handled. There's just one thing we need to account for, which is how we render the x-axis. And first, I want to um, show you this Pandas data reader. So this is an additional package that we installed at the beginning of class that allows you to download financial data from different servers. So this is a pretty cool thing. You can do this in, there's a number of different packages that work like this. So for example, you can download data from Wikipedia. You can download data into your notebook and into your Python code. You can download data from Google search trends. There's lots of, these are all done via APIs or application program interfaces. So these are ways that you use this software tool to get data from the internet. So this one is called Pandas Data Reader, and we're going to use it to get stock data. So we're going to import that, and we're going to import Pandas, and we're then going to specify a start date and an end date for the stock data. And then we're going to use that start and end date, and we're then also going to supply a stock code, which we'll use Apple, and then the resource we're going to use is called IEX. There's a bunch of different places where you can get data, but some of them have been deprecated or turned off. So you used to be able to get data from Google and Morningstar, but those don't work anymore. So you have to it's kind of a moving target, but there's a link here that will tell you where you can get remote data from. So let's hopefully this will work. So we have now using a start and end date. So we're starting from January 1st, 2014 to today. We're going to get Apple stock data using this Pandas data reader function. Another thing that I did here was I changed the index to be a date time index, because by default those dates that come from that are just strings, and I want them to be Pandas date time objects. So I used this set index command to set the index as the index converted to date time, and I said in place equals true. So if we now look at that, we see we have a data frame where our index now is the date in a date time format, and then we have 5 columns: open, high, low, close, and volume. So this is stock data starting from January 1st, or in this case the market wasn't open on January 1st, so the first row is actually January 2nd. So a key part of a time series graph is setting the x-axis type to date time. So we're going to create a figure with width and height, and then when we create that figure, we're also going to say x-axis type equals date time. We'll then plot a line with the index or the date as the x value, the closing price as the y-axis. We'll set a color and an alpha, which is again a transparency parameter. We'll then specify the label for the x-axis and the y-axis, and then we're going to use this another feature called a band, where the Y grid is going to have bands of color that allow us to see the data better, and we're going to save that as an HTML file using the default CDN Content Delivery Network mode, and then open up that file in our browser. So let's do that. So we now have downloaded and displayed Apple stock data. So this is current as of yesterday. So we can see how this trends over the last 5 years. This particular resource, IEX, only gives stock data for the last 5 years, so it's kind of annoying that way. There's some other sources of data, but a lot of them require you to create an account, and I didn't want to have to deal with that with all you guys. So you can see, if you've been following the news, that a lot of the tech stocks have dropped in the last couple weeks. So here you can see that very clearly. So if we want to zoom in on that, we can do box zoom, zoom in, and we can see that, yeah, that kind of started around the first of the month, and now it's leveled off here a little bit. So let's see if we can get the date. So 22nd, 23rd. Yes, so this should be, let's go back here and just have a quick look at, see where our last data points are. So 27th, yeah, so it is up through yesterday. Yeah, it looks about right. And then we just have our scroll, zoom, pan, save, reset. And you can see these bars. This is that olive colored bars that we have, and those will update as we zoom in and out. Just allows us to see a little bit better the data. Okay, another example that I want to go through is using the precipitation data. So this is the monthly precipitation data up through 2016. This is the same data we worked with last time in the statistics lesson, and this should already be on your computer in the right location. So remember, we're using a relative path to the data folder, which is one level above and then back down into the La Jolla precipitation file. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time, where we read that CSV file. We're going to convert the date to date time. We also could have specified the date time columns in the read CSV command. We can then do a group by date, because there are some rows in this data frame that have the same date. We're going to then also specify the month and the year using this list comprehension. As a hint, this is something you're going to want to do in your homework for this week. And then we're going to reset the index and have a look at the data frame. So if everything is good, we should have something that looks like this. So we want to then have a look at that data in Bokeh, so we can actually zoom in and look at some patterns. So we're going to specify a figure with width and height. We're going to say that the x-axis is going to be a date time object, and then we're going to specify several tools here that we want to show in our toolbar. Then what we want is, again, we want to have both lines and the circles on the line, so we have to specify two different glyphs, and then we specify an output file, and then we show that file. So when we do that, it's going to pop up. So now we can see the precipitation data in this nice plot, which we can zoom in and out in an interactive way. So we can have a look at, in 2015 we had a lot of rain, so let's take a look at that. You can zoom in there, and I've also added hover as a tool. So what this allows us to do is to see the values. Unfortunately, the index, it's not giving us the date, it's only giving us the numerical index, but it does give us the the value of precipitation that month, which is 86. I believe that's millimeters. So we can get this nice mouse over data. Okay, let me see.